Welcome, everybody, to Two Mental Chicks. We are so excited to have you here. This is Kay.
This is Jay.
We're here to talk this week about stuff that's going on in life and how mental health and age are related.
It's a good topic. It affects a lot of people.
Yeah, I think it does too. And I wanted to talk about the different ages mental illnesses come on board and how we deal with all those things. Because I know both of us have aging parents. How old is your mom now?
93.
Yeah, mine is in her 80s, her early 80s. And so our parents are dealing with a lot of the same issues as each other. So we can get into talking about that a little bit. But the first one, I want to talk about the different ages. So from 8 to 13 years of age, we have phobias, separation anxieties, like when mommy and daddy leaves you at daycare, or autism spectrum disorders come online. You start to be able to diagnose those. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and social anxiety. And I remember having a lot of those, especially 8 to 13. You have social anxiety for sure. You remember that?
Definitely. Oh, yeah. Being a kid, you're under the stress of
Did
media.
you fit in?
I did not fit in.
So how did that work with you anxiety-wise?
It was frightening because you couldn't, I didn't have the right clothes and everything. So you just become very withdrawn and...
Were you hyper-aware of your situation?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think I was too, because I didn't fit in either. Same thing. Didn't have all the things I should have had, even though I was in the brownies. I was one of those kids that was a feral child, but they cared. I think they just didn't know how.
That's probably true.
I think their parents were such bad parents. God love them. I love these people so much. But I think they had such bad parents that they didn't know how to be parents. They got involved in sex, drugs, and rock and roll, probably. I don't know about the rock and roll. That's more me.
Well, I don't know. Even in the 40s, there was a lot of,
Oh, yeah, and they were in the periods of the best music, man.
Sinatra.
60s.
They talk about partiers, man.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Sinatra and the Rat Pack. They made us look like amateurs.
That is for sure. So going back to the younger ages, so spiders and snakes. You ever scared of those?
Bugs.
Bugs? Are you still scared of those?
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to be scared of bugs more than I am now. I'm scared of snakes, not as much now as I used to be, but I had an experience. We went camping one time, and I think I was maybe 4. This was one of my weird experiences. We were crabbing is what we were doing with those big, when you take those big crabbing cages and you put meat in them and throw them out in the lake. We were doing that. So we go with my mom to the bathroom, and there's just this old outhouse in the middle of nowhere, and we're in New Orleans somewhere in Louisiana. So we're in summertime, so it's hot and sticky. We go in that bathroom, or if best you can call it, we'll go back to outhouse. And my mom sits down on I sit down, I pee. Then my sister pees, and my mom goes to sit down and pee, and she takes her pants down and starts screaming her head off and pulls her pants up and runs off. And she forgot us, so we run off. I know, right?
Oh, no.
I know. And so we get out of there, and she screams, "Snake, snake." So there was this king snake in there, and my dad went and got it, and he put it in a paper bag. So he rolls up this paper bag, puts holes in it so the snake could breathe. Obviously, we want him not to be dead, I suppose. I'd rather him be dead myself. But he puts him in this bag and puts me and my sister in the back seat, both with our hands on this bag.
Oh, no.
To hold this.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Yeah.
No.
So we're on our way back to New Orleans, and we're on what's called a causeway. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh, yeah.
Just across the water. There's nothing but water under us, and there's really no shoulders on the road at this point. He pulls over real slow and stops, and boy, cars are whizzing by, and he slowly gets out of the car and reaches down and pulls out that snake. It got around both of us. It slithered out of that bag while we were holding it. Creeped me right out.
That was traumatizing.
It was weird, but I tell you what's even more traumatizing. We got home, and my dad used to work at a pet shop. So we went to take the snake to the pet shop. And we get to the pet shop and it's closed and he didn't have a key. So he secured this bag closed and he left it. And we're in downtown New Orleans. He left it on the front steps of this pet store. Now, can you imagine downtown New Orleans? A lot of bums and homeless people coming across a bag.
Thinking, oh boy, there's something good in here.
Boy, yeah. There was something good, all right.
Why didn't he just leave the snake in the woods?
I don't know. I never did ask him that question. I should ask him. He's still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that would have been very traumatizing to have a snake on you in the backseat of a car.
We didn't know it. And we knew it after the fact. And that was traumatizing, too, knowing it after the fact, strangely enough.
Yeah.
It was very weird. I'll never forget that.
No, I wouldn't either.
So snakes never bothered you too much, huh?
No, no.
That's crazy. Now, I guess crazy is they bother you so much, huh?
Yeah, they just don't. I mean, I've never been around them. I've never been in a situation where they would be around me.
And I guess you learn, right?
Yeah, you
learn
do.
From experience. I've had snakes bite my kitty cats and things like that. I had a kitty cat die. Yeah. So I've had that kind of experience. That's probably why I'm still scared of snakes. Not as much, but still scared.
Yeah.
So from 17 to 22 years, we get into your anorexia nervosis and your bulimias, your obsessive compulsive, binge eating, and cannabis use disorders, which, you know, can be any time through life, but that's when it really starts showing up. And that makes sense because you're in high school. That's kind of when drug use starts.
Oh, yeah.
Generally,
sure
I don't know, it gets younger and younger every day. What do you think?
I was pretty young when I started smoking cigarettes. No, I take that back. I started smoking marijuana first.
How old were you? Do you remember?
About 14.
Oh, really?
Maybe 13.
I think I was 12.
Yeah.
Both when I started smoking marijuana and cigarettes.
Yeah, cigarettes didn't come till later for me. And of course it was peer pressure.
Yeah.
Of course.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the way I got high the first time, my sister and her boyfriend chased me into a bathtub, put a bag over my head, and smoked into the bag till I got high. So I was forced. So there was traumatic stress there. Isn't that crazy?
That is really
I don't know why
something.
she needed to do that so badly, but she needed to get me high or something.
I guess she didn't want to be alone in her endeavor.
Probably now that you say it, but that's what a shame, right? What
Yeah,
a
that's
shame.
not exactly. Well, then again, you know, but I think both of our families, you know, because I wasn't forced to smoke pot, but I was taught
Right.
how to toke,
Right.
how to hold it,
Right.
how to, you know, blow it out, how to roll.
Yeah.
I mean, I was smoking a lot of marijuana before I ever touched a cigarette.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I can't remember that. I don't think I was. Cigarettes were more prevalent for me. I started smoking in the 5th grade after that scarf incident we talked about
Oh,
last
yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, no, when I was a little girl, my dad had some foreign people come visit our house from another country, and they had some cigarettes, and they left them there, and I snuck smoking those, but it didn't do anything for me.
Did it make you dizzy?
Probably, I don't
Yeah.
remember, but
Yeah.
I don't know what, well, my older sisters smoked.
Oh, yeah. You want to be like them, huh?
Wanted to be like them, so, but I don't remember it thinking, oh boy, I need to smoke now.
Yeah.
I just did it, and it didn't do much for me, and I like the marijuana, though.
Yeah. I like that,
That was
too.
good.
Yes, it is.
But then in school is where cigarettes came into play.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when I started smoking
I love smoking cigarettes, too. I decided when I find out I'm going to die, I'm just going to start doing it all. I'm just going to start smoking everything.
Yeah.
Drinking.
Yeah.
I figure I'm going to die anyway, right?
Might as well
I'm not
go
going
out
to do
with
it
a bang.
now. I don't want to ruin my life. But,
Right.
you know, later when I know it's at the end,
Yeah.
I'm going to go get me a big pack of Marlboros.
Yeah. Marlboro Reds.
Ooh, yeah. Just sounds nasty.
It is.
So let's see. So the next stages we're talking about are 25 to 27 years old, which is when you have schizophrenia diagnosed, personality issues, panic, and alcohol use disorders. What do you think about that?
Oh, that's
25
pretty
to
accurate.
27?
Yeah, because I remember in my 20s, I had my first anxiety attack, and I did not know what it was.
Yeah.
Until I went to the doctor, and that's what it was. And
how'd you figure that out?
Oh,
They did?
I was
What's it like?
Frightening, like you feel impending doom. You know you are going to die. You are hyperventilating. You're in a cold sweat, like profuse sweating.
Where were you when it happened the first time?
I was in a 1986 Plymouth Colt leaving Oshkosh, Wisconsin on our way to Park Forest, Illinois. Yes.
You were driving?
I was not driving.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, but I was on the floorboard of the car. I was so freaked out.
Really?
And it was, of course, thunderstorming the whole way. And I couldn't breathe. I don't know how I made it, but I made it home and didn't sleep and just called the doctor the next day.
Yeah.
And then got in and they got me to see a psychiatrist.
Wow.
In Illinois. And that's but they didn't give me any medicine for it back then. No medicine, just exercises.
Patch on the head.
Yeah.
Tell you to do some breathing exercises.
Yeah, well, things like, I was agoraphobic too, so they had me do, like, walk to the mailbox and mail a letter, just little exercises like that. And that's
right.
But I didn't get medicated for it at that time.
At what age did you get medicated? Do you remember?
After my husband died in 2006.
Do you remember how old you were?
Well, let's see. He was 49. I probably just turned 40.
Wow. So about 40. So let's talk about 30 to 35 years. You go through post-traumatic stress from probably everything you've been through to that point. You do have generalized anxiety. That's when bipolar issues rear their ugly heads. And you have transient and acute psychotic disorders. I think that's what happened to me. I was diagnosed when I was 42.
Oh, wow.
With bipolar, which they say is pretty late, actually. And I have an uncle that they say had mental illness.
Oh, okay.
And they say, whoever they is, says, it's related to your chromosomes, that there's something to do with DNA. And
I believe that.
Yeah, I think so too. Looking back on some of the things that he would do and say. And I know the first time I had an episode, I literally lost time. And that's how I knew there's definitely something going on with me. And it wasn't, I'm crazy or I'm out of control. It was, I didn't know where I was or what time it was. And I went out on a car ride at 10 o'clock at night, and at 3 o'clock in the morning, I was being pulled over by police. Apparently, I was outrunning the police who were trying to pull me over, and I don't remember anything from 10 o'clock to when they pulled me over.
Not even why you got in the car?
Not even why I got in the car. I was just in the car, and I'd been there since 10, so that's
a long
5
time.
hours. I'm in a car for 5 hours. Where had I been? Don't know. What had I done? Don't know.
Don't know where you ended up? Or?
No, I don't know anything. And so that's how I knew there's something definitely wrong. And that's part of bipolar is time issues.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Very strange and very unsettling.
Did it take them a while to diagnose you, or did they pretty much know right away?
Well, they diagnosed me right away because insurance doesn't pay you unless you're diagnosed. And I guess I had enough symptoms, like I think they call that a fugue. When you go off and you don't know where you've been or what you're doing, it's called a fugue. And usually that's with schizophrenia. And usually it happens in this way. Somebody picks up and leaves, doesn't tell anybody where they're going, or maybe they could take their kids. I don't know how that works, but they leave and start a new life somewhere. New name, new everything.
Wow.
That can happen in a fugue situation. That's mental illness. And so I never really thought, well, that's mental illness until I had it happen to me. And then I realized, well, there's something neurologically wrong.
Yes.
That's not right. And it wasn't that I was crazy or in the typical fashion, but I was, in terms of not being able to control mood
Right.
swings, screaming at people and things like that.
Well, I think crazy is kind of an archaic term.
Boy, that's true.
Because it's not a choice people make to have mental illness. Nobody wakes up and says, gee, I want to be bipolar today, or I want to be,
True.
depression, anxiety. It's a physical fact that people have these disorders. And I think there's medicine out there that's good, that's helpful, but I think it needs to be administered with a lot of supervision.
I'll tell you what, they put me on something that works, and it's been working for a while, but one time in a hospital they put me on lithium, and it made my kidneys shut down.
Oh,
and so I really would recommend anybody out there that's getting on new medications to really do your homework and find out what side effects are. Lithium almost shut down my kidneys after only 8 weeks.
Wow.
And it was a very small dose. So you really have to be careful, especially with antipsychotic drugs or anything like that. When you get into mood stabilization or anything like that, you really need to do your research.
Amen to that, because I don't think you have to be proactive in your own health care these days. And, you don't want a doctor just prescribing this willy-nilly and sending you home like you're taking a baby aspirin.
Yeah.
It needs to be monitored. It needs to be assessed. I would say at least every 6 months.
Yeah.
And that's too much, but that's...
Well, I go to my psychiatrist about every 6 months if we haven't had any medication changes.
Oh, that's good to know. That's good to know. Also, you saying psychiatrist, I think that's the best way to go if you can see one.
Well, you can't get medication with just a psychologist. You either have to have a medical doctor or a psychiatrist.
Well, I guess that's what I'm talking about. The medical doctors that are administering these meds to people, and they're medical doctors. They're just putting them, like, take 2 aspirin and call me in the morning kind of thing.
And the problem with psychiatry is a lot of people think it has to do with counseling too, but it doesn't. So if you have a psychiatrist, that's for medication, and you go to a psychologist to talk about it.
Behavioral.
Right, exactly. So psychiatrists affect your behavior with their medications, but then they don't want to talk about it.
Right. But as long as the medicine is working, and I believe they do in the right application.
Yes, I think so too. And I think, there are people out there that need lithium. I'm sure of it. Or else why would it even be on this planet?
Right.
But I think after my experience, nobody told me, oh, by the way, this side effect could happen. And I already had the weak kidneys as it was. So that's part of the problem is that the doctors don't think about that. They just are doctors. They're practicing. And so that was one of my doctors finally said to me. He said, Kay, you need to be your own best advocate. Nobody else knows what's going on in your body but you. And he's right. He was so right. And so I really appreciated him having the courage as a doctor to say that to a patient.
That's very amazing that he acknowledged that, because they need to, like, I'm in a medical sort of kind of field, but when you are dealing with medications as any kind of doctor at all, you need to know interactions, drug interactions, basic,
Oh, yeah.
because if you get a patient that comes in and they're taking A, B, and C meds, and you want to prescribe D, but D doesn't get along with A or B, you shouldn't prescribe it.
Right.
It's that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Which makes sense. That's why you need a psychiatrist, huh?
Yeah,
Get that down. And if you can get your psychiatrist and your doctor to work together, that is the most important thing. If you can do that, it's a miracle.
That's ideal.
That's all I can say. It is ideal. Absolutely. And I would suggest, just out of past experience, if you are with a hospital association like an Integris or what's the other one? Mercy. I'm assuming these are nationwide. I really don't know. But if you're with a certain one, that you should go to another doctor in the same area. For instance, Integris Baptist. That's the one we have around here. Well, they have a computer system. And if you go to a different doctor, then my doctor doesn't know what the different doctor's doing. So if you get the doctors in the same system, then at least they know what they're doing because it's all in the same computer.
Right.
So that's my recommendation, is to really look for that if you're looking for any kind of medical relationship with a psychiatrist.
Shop at the same mall.
Yeah, boy, that's true. A good way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you feel about post-traumatic? Do you feel like in your 30s you had post-traumatic issues from what you went through earlier?
Yeah, I think that was a lot of my agoraphobia, phobias, not driving.
You never drove?
I didn't start driving until I was probably 24.
Really?
Yeah.
What were you afraid of?
Everything. My own ability. I didn't have the confidence in my own ability. I didn't trust my actions that I would cause a problem.
Right. Which makes sense because you had no parents to show you how to make a mistake and go past the mistake to learn.
No, mistakes were detrimental. They were punishable by death.
Right. Well, and they really were.
But they were. I mean, a mistake was not
world.
Forgiven.
Mm-mm.
Never forgiven. No. Certainly not learned from it. God.
I know, right? Oh, Lord, have mercy.
Yeah.
I know. Mistakes are not good.
Yeah. They should be in reality. As a child, you should consider the sort of a child is in a stage of learning, and learning does mean you make mistakes so you can learn. Right. And I believe the parent needs to reinforce that, okay, now you see what went wrong, but here's how we make it right.
Right.
And put a positive spin on it. So many kids in today's world don't get that kind of.
Well, you didn't get that.
No.
I didn't get that.
No. A lot of people I know didn't.
You know, I got that sometimes, but mostly I got yelled at.
Yeah.
And I say that sadly, because I know there's probably parents at some point they're going to listen to this, and I love them dearly, but that's what I got.
Yeah.
Mostly was yelled at or not there.
Mine was not there.
Mm-hmm.
There was nobody there. So you suffered your own consequence.
Which was always dire.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a learning situation.
No.
You know, we have observational learning. I think we talked about that before.
We did.
And we do that with our parents. When they go through issues, we watch them. And so if we never get to go through that with our parents, we never learn anything.
Well, and that's so true. You lead by example, and it's only natural for a child of any species will look at a parent and be shown how to hunt or play or work or live. And when that example is tarnished, then you don't get that. You just fly by the seat of your pants and learn it on your own. I think that's true for both of us.
Do you think that you end up having a life full of flying by the seat of your pants? Because,
oh, definitely.
Yeah, I find myself doing that. And my mate loves that so much.
Aww.
You can't sense the sarcasm. It's dripping with sarcasm over here. He really does not like that. He's more of a planner. And I'm a go with the flow, let's see how it works out kind of gal. And so it can be a problem with other people if they, most people plan.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm not most people. I sometimes plan. Like, for instance, when I wrote a book. Most people, I think, I don't know most people again, would outline, would have a plan. And I didn't. I just jumped in, knew what I wanted to say, and started going. Is it worse because of that? Probably. is probably a lot worse because there was no structure. But did I know better? About halfway through I did and thought, I should have probably used that tool. But I didn't because I wasn't used to structure.
Yeah.
I didn't have that growing up.
I love structure though. I mean, for myself, if I could have it that way, I would love that kind of continuity. The peace and the, an organized life that, I want that.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not there.
Not yet.
I don't think it'll ever be. I finally just said, I accept chaos. And
that's a way to get it okay.
Yeah, to just accept.
Yeah.
And just, if a storm comes, it comes. If it's sun shining, it's shining.
Well, and then we talked about this as a stages of grief kind of thing. I think our life is one big stage of grief situation.
Oh, yeah.
The acceptance is part of it. Once you accept where you've come from and your whole situation and really look at yourself. I had to come to terms with the other day, people don't like me. There are some people that just don't like me. Yeah. And I had to come to terms with, you know what? There are some people I just don't like.
Well, that's true,
and
too.
It works that way. And so you have to come to terms with, you know what? Everybody's not going to like you.
No.
Everybody's not going to think your jokes are funny. Everybody's not good. You know what I mean? So that's what I've had to come to terms with in my little craziness world.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's true. I mean, and that just centers back on acceptance.
It does.
Of your lot in life. And I think we had talked about that last time. My husband always said everybody can throw all their problems up and mix them around and catch a new problem. It's going to be just as bad as the other one.
Absolutely.
So that being said, it is probably best to be malleable and resilient instead of stiff and
absolutely
broken.
We call that plastic in psychology. To be plastic, right?
Yeah.
Plasticization. I love that word. Plasticization.
Good word.
have you ever seen those bodies? They plasticize them.
No.
They were at the Science Museum not too long ago, and they actually tease out all the nerves, and it's like a engineer's expansion drawing of the body. It's amazing. You should check it out sometime. So if any of you guys are going through any kind of mental issues and you feel like you're suicidal and want to reach out, 988 is the number for the suicide hotline. Please reach out. We have all been there. And we just needed help, somebody to talk to. And if you don't have anybody, that's the place to reach out. Don't be afraid to talk to somebody. And, I think we're going to end it here. This is a good place to stop. Next week we'll get into aging in terms of older age. We'll get into parental aging and mental health and things we've been through with that. But with that being said, thanks for joining us this week on Two Mental Chicks. This is Kay.
This is Jay.
Y'all have a great week. Bye-bye.